Always a good sign when everything's wigging out here. I'm assuming the batteries are probably deader than a doornail. I would say so. Yep. Okay, jump box time. Okay, now that we got 2 jump packs, also shout out to our boy, Battleship 67. He was asking if anybody rocked his key tags. Absolutely we do. Let's try starting it. There we go. Woo! All right, let me get it inside. Now I know what you guys are thinking. We've bought this truck and we've had a couple 6 liters on the channel and I always got rid of them. I want to rest assured for the time being, this thing is here to stay. We've had our ups and downs, you know, like any internal combustion engine, you're gonna have some issues. And I absolutely love the engagement that we get with this truck. Big fan of all the reactions to the towing video. Some people don't get the satire, some people do, and that's fine. I love the hate that we get on the wheels and tires. You know, everyone has their own taste. Some people like stocks, some people like these, some people like a little bit more mud on there. Our Duramax runs a similar tire, but I digress. You know, different strokes for different folks, guys. This is what I like. I don't off-road this 8,000 pound vehicle. I just don't. My Duramax has mud tires on it right now. Just trying something different out. After driving it for a while, they drive okay, but they are obnoxiously loud. So besides our incredibly dead batteries on this thing from me leaving that thing apart, I want to show you guys what we're after. Something that has really plagued us for quite some time that I want to rectify today. Now, despite all of the hate that these things get, some of it I'll even give you. It might be reasonable. I feel like still to this day, you get out of these things what you put in them as far as parts go. I can't tell you how many show up at our shop that have terrible H-pops, Chinese standpipes, crappy injectors. They'll get like one lately we've been getting a lot of aftermarket sensors, not Motorcraft. So I mean, for every terrible story you hear about a 6 liter, I just want you to take with a grain of salt, like maybe the right parts weren't used. And I mean, this truck hasn't been running for too long. We got about 8 months on it, about 12,000-ish miles on it. We've drag raced it quite often, and we've really not had many problems up until now. So this is not just a video about 6 liters. This is really any of your trucks that have issues. So we have a coolant leak on these things, which these things are kind of famous for coolant leaks and oil leaks. I mean, honestly, I feel like that's any Ford product, really. But we are going to go ahead and show you guys the best way to find some leaks. Now, full disclosure, I kind of know where this one's leaking from. It's been leaking for about 5 months now, and it's really my own fault because guess what? I used cheap clamps. But I'm going to show you guys a little tool here we have at the shop to help you maybe do this a little better. Now, I know there are a lot of different tool companies that make this, but this is the Harbor Freight kit. It's a Matic. Here's the part number for y'all. Comes with a few adapters. There's an add-on, but for the truck we need, it's this black one that comes in here. 6 liter Powerstroke. I'm sure it fits many other variations, probably a lot of Fords. That's one thing Ford is pretty good about. They keep everything universal. But what you do, you simply expose the system. We go through the radiator cap because these run a kind of a closed loop, so to speak, system here, unlike your 3rd gen Dodges. And then you simply just thread this cap on like so till it bottoms out. You have this thing, actually, correction. Let me relieve the tension here, hold on. So you relieve the tension with the tangs like this, spin it, flip that till it locks in, and now we're able to pump. And what you want to do is pressure test. So whether you want to argue that this gauge from Harbor Freight is accurate or not, one thing is for sure, whether this thing says 16, 17, 18 or whatever, if the gauge goes down, you know you have a leak. Quick water and soap will determine if it's any of these cheap connections here. I know for a fact that it's not. And we're gonna find this leak. Now, if you follow me over here, you'll see that we have pressure in the system, and you can see this needle is slowly going down, which means we have a leak. Now, let me grab my handy dandy flashlight here. Now, it's not gonna leak on the ground really because the coolant's kind of low. It's kind of that way on purpose. And to be fair, I kind of already know where this leak's at. But if you follow us down right here, you guys see that J pipe right there? See those 2 hose clamps? Well, what you don't see is when I try to tighten one of those, it just kind of strips out, because those are the Chinese ones that came with this Chinese J pipe. If you know, you know. But I would say a lot of 6 liters leak from this area right here. There's not a lot of places for coolant in the valley when a certain piece is missing. Again, if you know, you know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead, pop this intercooler pipe off, and then I'm gonna show you guys where we're leaking. With our intercooler pipe removed, you guys can really see it now. See all the wetness under there and everything else? That is all coolant. And that is all coming from these clamps right here. And as I will demonstrate here, this one, broken, does not tighten. And that is exactly where all the wetness stops. If you look, we're dry up until right here. And then you see all this moisture back there under the turbo. Well, let me tell you, there's no moisture right here. If you look, dry. Over here, if you look, let me get you guys zoomed in here. Come on, baby. Come on. Cooperate with me here. All right, there we go. Oh my goodness. Well, you guys get the gist. Also dry. So it turns out if you just beat the ever-living crap out of your 6-liter Powerstroke, perhaps you'll have some clamp issues. So honestly, guys, I get all the hate, and I like all the guys that love these things. You know, just kind of the black sheep of the Powerstroke family, I feel like. 6 liters, 6.4s. Obviously, one of my preferred trucks to drive. I would drive it every day if it wasn't just crappy weather out. I just refuse now that it looks nice to drive it in the salt. So that's kind of why it's sat all winter. Some guys have probably thought it was broken, but, you know, we like to keep people guessing. It's been, honestly, a very stout unit. I've had a lot of fun with it. One of the most enjoyable trucks to drive. And I promise you, once we finish that truck over there, which, update, new brackets did ship. Big thank you to Lynn over there, getting all that squared away. And once that thing is all dialed in, we're going to dive into this. Got an S400 kit for it. And hopefully we'll get enough people to stop hating on this VGT, even though this VGT has outlived absolutely everything I've ever thought possible. And so did the company that made it, with not only dyno sheets, but track times to prove it. And yeah, we're going to go ahead, disconnect this. And this is a great tool for you guys to use. And then once you have fixed your suspected leak, you can go ahead and repressurize the system. Once you repressurize the system, verify your repair. Also, I've been on a never-ending quest to get this TBC, as some of you guys have seen, to go off. So we pulled out the TBC, and with some pretty awesome videos put out by Comet on TikTok, we're going to go ahead, take this apart, and try to get it fixed. And like I was saying, so I followed Comet's garage on TikTok for this fix, so please do not act like I'm the second coming of the 6-liter gods with this one. But this TBC was really bothering me. Mostly that's what everyone brought up when I started. Oh, like things already throwing lights or whatever. So kind of frustrating, and it was also causing some ABS problems as well. ABS CAN bus problem. So what you're gonna do is pull this apart. He's got a great video on it. Only thing I wish he would have probably shown a little bit better in detail is how this pulls out. You basically just kind of push out, pull up. But anyway, the pin you're after is this one right here. This one. Located right there, all by itself. All I did was drop a little bit more solder on it, and that's it. Then we're gonna plug this back in. So we got one thing fixed. Then the last thing that I really wanted to fix on this thing, besides the coolant leak and everything else, which I haven't even dove into yet, ADHD or whatever. I don't really think I have that, but anyway, was the cruise control. And the cool part is I think we just got to the bottom of it. What threw me for a loop on this cruise control problem was we did the front brake switch. Everyone says goes bad down there. We messed around with the brake pedal brake switch. Again, nothing wrong there. So I was like, man, like it's got this airbag code. It's had it since I bought it. Didn't really look too much into it. Well, what threw me for a loop is the horn works, the HVAC works. This doesn't work. Well, I started testing with a meter. Turns out there's just a few bad wires in this clock spring. So I know I said earlier in this video it's not a clock spring. Well, I was wrong. Goes to show you, you know, it is what it is. So we'll get a new clock spring order for that. I doubt we'll do a video on it. But the last thing I'm going to do is just kind of give this thing a little run through. Back brakes, front brakes, ball joints and stuff. Just to make sure it's ready for the season coming up. I'd hate to be like down because of something like that. And we got our batteries going as well here. They're almost back. But other than that, guys, this thing's really been a stout unit. I know a lot of guys were curious as far as the fan shroud missing. I really have yet to see anything wrong with it. Hasn't gotten hot on me or anything like that. So let's dive into this coolant fix here and try to get her roadworthy again. Okay, so got that thrown back in there. Nice. Well, guys, just one less thing to hate on the old 6-liter for. She's got some issues, and there's that airbag light, which we did track down to a code. So other than that, everything appears to be in great shape. Again, huge thank you to Comet's Garage. This does work. Just says trailer disconnected because we don't have one hooked up. But everything works now like it should. No more light. Let's move on to this leak. So back on the coolant leak, you guys can see here, this Chinese clamp just really let us down. Right there is where it kind of stripped out on us, unfortunately. So I got a much better style clamp. I'm sure this is also China, but this is kind of more like I don't know, like mainland China maybe. It's an Ideal clamp. It's the brand. Had good luck with these, so we're gonna get this slipped on here. Easiest way I've found to do these on 6 liters without taking the turbo out. You need to pay attention to how you want to clock this. So this is how you want it clocked. You're gonna flip it like this, put it on the smooth part of this J-pipe right here, open it up, wrap it up, get it started again, and then you'll rotate it around the J-pipe and it'll look like this, and you can tighten it up. So kind of hard to show you guys, but once I get it in there, I will show you. Let's see, we got her started now, and then you just simply rotate this sucker over. Sorry, the camera's trying to autofocus on my hand instead of this clamp. Like so. All right, I might need 2 hands for this. Let me get it set up and tighten down, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. And there you have it. We got our second clamp on. Went ahead and just checked the torque on the first clamp as well. Now we're gonna go ahead and pressurize the cooling system real quick. I'm also going to spray some brake cleaner down there to check for further leaks. We should be good to go. Okay, here's where our needle sits. Just barely over the blue. Kind of hard to see, let me get you, there you go. Now I'm gonna give it about 15 minutes with it pressurized. Make sure we have no more leaks, and then we can put it back together. And then we have one more thing. You guys might know what it is, but one more thing to take care of under the hood here, and we'll be done. Okay, had a little dinner break, a little monster break. There we have it. Right back where we left it, just on the other side of the white, which means we have a sealed system now, taking care of our coolant leaks. And there's still diesel fuel under there from the truck I worked on previous to this. But now we can put our intercooler pipe back on and fill her up with coolant, hopefully for the last time. And then this thing's pretty much done. The only other thing I have to do is front brakes and rotors, but I will not bore you guys with that. We went and looked. Those are the only brakes, surprisingly, that needed any work. If you can't tell by that and this, we're going to get rid of this ugly eyesore, perhaps robbing us of power, and replace it with this, a PDD Performer 4x10. Might be a little long, not too sure. I honestly think I gave Donald the 4x8, so we might have to swap them, but hopefully this works. If you're not familiar with PDD, my alma mater, where my at least professional career in diesel performance started, and they make this snazzy little unit here, right here. This is their Performer air filter. It is absolutely just a snazzy unit. Now in the 6-inch that fits on the Garretts, we have done over 2,000 horsepower on one of these. So definitely not a filter that's going to rob you for power. They do offer the Dust Bowl, which is a little bit better for like work trucks and stuff. But if you're after performance, you have compound stuff like that. Really, I used to know the number off the top of my head, but I would say like 700 horsepower and below, you're going to want probably the Dust Bowl, unless it's like just all you do is like me, street drive them. Then the Performer is definitely what you want. They went out of stock for a long time. Obviously, PDD doesn't physically make these. There's a company that makes them, and it was just really hard to get the product, so they pulled it. That was back when I worked there, and now they have a good supply of these. They're also available in black as well. But these are awesome filters. So if they have the one in your size and you're on the fence, obviously call, make sure it's in stock, and they'll get you one. If it's not in stock, you know, time will tell if the supplier is able to keep up with the demand. But anyway, we're going to get this thrown on here. 4-inch, 10 inches long. Let's get it in. Now that our hot air intake's complete, you know, that looks way better than this. Now, there was nothing wrong with this AFE one. Just a little too kind of thick in a way. The circumference was a little big. This PDD one fits in much easier. I understand for all the purists out there, it's not technically a cold air intake because there's no box, but you do have the air dam forcing air from the grill into this location, and I can assure you, going down the road, this is going to do just fine. Pretty far away from the motor as it is, but man, doesn't that just class up this joint? I mean, really, that's snazzy looking, man. PDD coming in clutch. But anyway, got our coolant thing taken off. Got our coolant fully topped off. We will keep an eye on it, but I'm pretty confident because before when I'd fill it up, there'd be a puddle on the ground. Now I've had it filled up for about 15-20 minutes, and there's absolutely nothing. So I'm pretty confident we got our coolant leak fixed. Like I said, just some brakes, and that'll be it. So although I get this video maybe a little clickbaity, I had to poke some fun there, just the 6-liter Powerstroke jokes. But other than that, this thing's fantastic. You guys have heard the plans for it. You guys know the timeline for it. Just getting some onesie-twosie stuff finished up while we wait on parts for that. Big thank you again, Comets Garage, Mitch at Driftless Diesel. Comets Garage came through clutch on the trailer brake controller fix that I showed you guys. Mitch helped me diagnose a bad clock spring, which again, that will hopefully fix our cruise control. And then we did our own diag, showed you guys a really cheap, affordable tool, even for your DIYers, that works on a variety of vehicles to help you find coolant leaks and stuff. So we got that taken care of. New clamps, maybe showed you a little trick instead of pulling the turbo on how to get that clamp in there real easy. And we've upgraded our air intake. I guarantee you this thing probably picks up, I would honestly say 10 to 15 horsepower just on that air filter at the power level it's at. I know some people will call me crazy, but we've proven that on the dyno time and time again, that those air filters do outperform any other one I've ever tested, except for the AFE race filter, which is really just a screen. So I don't know, take that with a grain of salt. But hopefully you guys like this one. Drop your comments. What turbo size do you think we're going with? I know what we're going with, but I'll let you guys kind of decide. The only other thing we got to upgrade on here is probably the trans eventually. I do want to go until this one just has no more go, and then we will upgrade. But subscribe if you're not already, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. I will catch y'all on the next one.